is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather. Continuing coverage of Campaign 2000, the battle for the White House. From CBS News election headquarters in New York, here is Dan Rather.
Good evening. Looking for a stop, George Bush takes it to the top. He is now asking the United States Supreme Court to stop all hand counts in Florida, period. If he can get that, he might very well close out Al Gore's last hope. This caps a day of Bush team fury at the Florida courts and heavy pressure against the Florida counts. Here's the latest. In papers filed tonight, Bush's lawyers argue the U.S. Supreme Court should find unconstitutional the recounts approved by Florida's highest court. A Florida Circuit Court judge today gave Palm Beach County wide latitude to include in the hand count ballots not completely punched through and out. This could boost the Gore vote significantly. Amid protest and chaos, Miami-Dade County stopped all recounts under heavy Republican pressure, saying it could not meet the Sunday deadline for completing the counts. Gore lawyers are appealing. They believe there are many uncounted Gore votes in Miami-Dade as well, and they're not sure they can win without those votes. Broward County's hand count is still underway. And this late development, doctors reversing what was said earlier now say Dick Cheney did have a, quote, slight, unquote, heart attack after going to the hospital with chest pains. The doctors now say that full recovery is expected. Now about the Bush all-out effort to run out the clock on Gore at the U.S. Supreme Court. CBS's Jim Stewart is at the court. Jim?
Dan, Governor Bush played about the only card in his hand that can trump a state Supreme Court decision by going directly to the U.S. Supreme Court tonight. That's a tactic that most experts say is a long shot at best. Bush telegraphed his decision early in the day by heaping criticism on the Florida court decision that allowed the presidential vote counting to continue.
The court had cloaked its ruling in legalistic language, but make no mistake, the court rewrote the law.
Bush will argue that allowing a recount in 3 Florida counties violates federal law which forbids changing election laws after the fact. Second, that by setting up their own deadline for a recount, the Florida Supreme Court infringed on the authority of the Florida legislature. And finally, that the recount is so selective it violates the rights of voters in counties whose ballots were not retabulated.
There are 2 aspects of the process that are particularly unconstitutional: the changing of the deadlines and the manual recount process that is treating voters unequally and subjectively and arbitrarily.
Many experts, including CBS consultant Jonathan Turley, believe that could be a tough sell.
These justices would have to not just walk away, but run away from decades of opinions and writings supporting states' rights.
Bush has already had one setback in federal court. A full circuit court in Atlanta declined last week to get involved. Now his appeal to the high court will land first on the desk of Justice Anthony Kennedy, who could decide the issue on his own or more likely ask all 9 justices to rule on the appeal. Now, the Florida Supreme Court ended up working overtime in order to get its decision back, and already there are early signs here that the U.S. Supreme Court is going to work just as quickly to try to figure out what its role in this whole mess is, if it has one at all. Dan?
Jim Stewart. Republican lawyers launched new legal challenges in Florida today and threatened a political move going to the state legislature that could cause further turmoil in this election without an end. CBS's Bill Whitaker has the latest on the tough new tactics coming from Bush headquarters.
After a week of smiling and waving at the camera, George W. Bush today strode to center stage and unleashed a volley of criticism and scorn at the Florida Supreme Court.
We believe the justices have used the bench to change Florida's election laws and usurp the authority of Florida's election officials.
He said he was disappointed with the court's decision, but sources close to the governor tell CBS News he and his top aides were livid, outraged by the ruling, and now are more determined than ever to fight on aggressively, counting out no course of action.
Are all of these options open and being considered by you at this point?
I think every option is certainly being considered.
So not only is Bush taking his case to the U.S. Supreme Court, his attorneys went back to Florida court today to try to force counties to count those disqualified military absentee ballots. If they get no relief in court, Bush officials have made it clear the GOP-dominated Florida legislature can always weigh in and select a Bush electoral college slate even if Gore wins the final hand count.
And so I would not be surprised to see the legislature want to perhaps take some action to get back to the original statutory provisions that were in place initially.
And in this scorched earth approach, the Bush camp continues trying to discredit the ongoing manual ballot count, pointing out that Palm Beach County's election supervisor, who now is counting so-called dimpled chads, wrote a memo in 1990 saying they may not be counted. Their strategy? To keep the Gore legal team divided, diverted, and confused on the state and federal level. This campaign, which has suffered some major setbacks in the last 24 hours, one aide said today, they haven't been knocked down, they've been fired up. Dan?
Bill Whitaker in Austin. With votes still trickling in from some western states, the latest national popular vote count shows Gore has widened his lead over Bush to almost 285,000 votes. Of course, constitutionally, what really counts is the electoral vote count. And whoever wins Florida's 25 wins the presidency. John Roberts at the White House says the view from the Gore camp. John?
Dan, the vice president's legal advisors are all confident tonight, predicting that even if the Supreme Court were to take up the Texas governor's case, he would lose. But the Gore campaign itself is scrambling to keep alive its hopes to deliver the presidency.
We don't have to count these boxes. We don't have to recount them.
As he toured a Washington food bank today, another setback for Al Gore when a decision by Dade County to stop the hand count sent his attorneys rushing back to court.
We hope that the counts will continue, and that's what the Supreme Court wanted, and that's what's going on.
Though campaign sources claim the vice president could win without Dade County, their projected margin of victory is so slim that Dade's votes could make the critical difference.
Under Florida law, once the finding is made, the recount is mandatory. We will immediately be seeking an order directing the Dade County Board of Canvassers to resume the manual recount.
It was a surprise setback for Gore after an all-time high last night when the state Supreme Court ruled that the hand count must be included in the overall election tally.
Our democracy is the winner tonight. I firmly believe that the will of the people should prevail.
Gore's advisors were also forced to backpedal today over those rejected military ballots. Democrats took a big hit over their exclusion, so Gore's advisors now say they're willing to take a second look.
All of us agree that those legally cast ballots, whether they're military ballots or civilian ballots, should be counted. There's no question about that.
But the key word in that statement is legal, and it only gives the appearance of being supportive. If the Texas governor were to prevail in court and even a few hundred of those military absentee ballots were included in the election total, the vice president might find the White House is out of reach. Dan?
John Roberts. Back in Florida, two disputed counties are trying to work at warp speed to complete hand counts and recounts by the deadline this Sunday. CBS's Jim Axelrod is in West Palm Beach keeping track. Jim?
Dan, 6 people in South Florida are moving center stage tonight as the vote counting builds to a climax. They're the 3 members of the Palm Beach County Canvassing Board and 3 members of the Broward Board. And how they read thousands of disputed ballots could well determine the next president.
We're about to open the final box of ballots.
As the counters near completion, and George Bush still appears to lead by several hundred votes, the boards have started processing a huge pool of disputed ballots that could swing the election to Gore. Between Palm Beach and Broward counties, at least 17,000 ballots with no clear choice for president will be re-examined.
The people's voice will count, and it'll be a fair decision made by everyone in the state of Florida, at least in Broward County.
Republicans are not so sure, because on the critical question of how to count those ballots where a chad is indented but not pushed through.
That's one example of what a dimple can look like. There's a lot of variation.
The majority rules. Palm Beach County's board is all Democrats. Broward is 2-1 Democrats.
Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard?
Today, a Palm Beach County judge was asked to spell out the interpretation standards.
Or do you want an order from me that says you're to consider, dimples, indentations, impregnations? I'm supposed to tell them exactly what they have to consider.
Ultimately, the judge ruled the canvassers must consider dimples, but it's their call. So now it's up to the board to wrestle with indecision and intent and see who comes out the winner.
because there's so many variations in the ballots, you know. I mean, there's just so many little dots and dings, and it's sometimes it's very difficult to decide whether a voter intended to make that their vote, or a voter started to touch it and said, whoa. And we're struggling with trying to determine, looking at the entire card where they were able to clearly punch out every other vote, does that indicate an intent to vote, or does that indicate maybe they made a mistake and didn't want that to be their vote?
Democrats may not have received all the help they were looking for in court today, but they may not need it either. Democratic sources now say with about a third of the disputed ballots counted in this county alone, Al Gore has netted at least an additional 300 votes. If that's true, and if that pace continues, he may well gain enough to pull ahead. Dan?
Jim Axelrod in West Palm. As for the Miami-Dade turnaround shocker, where the plan to just count 10 to 11,000 ballots the machines didn't count, under intense Bush camp pressure, turned into a decision for no recount at all. CBS's Bobby Harley has the facts and context on that.
At this time, the board has decided to...
The canvassing board was trying to beat the clock set by Florida's Supreme Court when it voted to send its hand counters home this morning. Counters who'd come in to finish what they started 2 days ago.
And just looking at the sheer numbers and time, that we weren't going to be able to do the complete hand counts.
But then board members did decide to count only the 10,000 votes missed by machines, not all 650,000 ballots cast. Republican protesters chased after them, demanding to see the process. While the board tried to count, more protests erupted in the lobby downstairs. Republicans even accused a Democrat of stealing a ballot.
He put it in his pocket and I started yelling, this guy's got a ballot, this guy's got a ballot.
It was pretty scary. People were yelling, screaming, and actually physically pushing and jumping right into me.
Police escorted Joe Geller from the building for his own protection over what turned out to be a training ballot. 2 hours later, the board was back, and the count was over.
I vote no. I believe we should stop at this time.
Republicans cheered the decision to stop the hand counting they'd been fighting for weeks. And instead of overseeing a weekend of ballot counting, election board members found themselves leaving for the holiday under heavy police protection. And late this afternoon, the Democrats carried out their own protest, asking a Florida appeals court for an emergency hearing to force Miami to keep on counting. But with Sunday's deadline looming, time is quickly running out. Dan?
Bobby Harley in Miami. The first dramatic event in this day of political and legal wrangling was neither. It was medical. Republican vice presidential candidate Dick Cheney, who is 59, suffered chest pains, went to the hospital, and remains there tonight. Correspondent Bob Orr in Washington has the latest. Bob?
Dan, doctors now say that Dick Cheney, in fact, suffered a very slight heart attack. And he also underwent a mild operation after tests found a 90% blockage in one of his coronary arteries. Cheney, seen here rallying the troops at Bush campaign headquarters last week, went to a Washington emergency room at 4:30 this morning complaining of chest pains. Blood tests confirmed a slight, non-life-threatening heart attack.
I would say he was absolutely never at risk of dying from this.
Preliminary tests seemed to rule out a heart attack, and Governor Bush pronounced his running mate fit.
Dick Cheney is healthy. He did not have a heart attack.
But further tests revealed the problem. One of Cheney's coronary arteries had narrowed significantly since his last heart checkup in 1996. So doctors inserted a small metal coil called a stent into the artery, sort of a mini scaffolding to prop it open. Doctors say Cheney's blood vessel is now open, and he should make a full recovery.
He will have no limitations and should be able to go about whatever his job is in the next few months.
Cheney's had a history of heart problems and in fact underwent a quadruple bypass in 1988. But his doctors insist his prognosis is good. Dan?
Bob Orr in Washington. Under the law, if Cheney had to step down before the Electoral College voted, Bush would name a replacement and the Republican Party leadership would endorse him. If Cheney were to step down after the college elected him vice president, Bush would name a replacement, but confirmation by Congress would be required. Up next on tonight's CBS Evening News, when this election is settled, the people who work here will have a lot of catching up to do.
It's a big leap to take, to make the decision to retire.
And then it happens.
It's frightening at first, because what am I going to do? Where do you want to go?
I would like to go to California.
You know me, I'm always pushing to go to another culture. Oh, we opened an account with Fidelity, what, 30 years ago? Like China. And we just kept adding on to it, adding on to it.
And adding to it, and adding to it. Oh, come on.
Fidelity was always there for us. There's a gentleman there, Roger Hobby, who helped us along the way, and he's still there.
Yeah, he was there when we rolled over our pension into an IRA and started trading stocks.
She's the real investor. Sure.
Don't overcook them, hon.
The same folks are helping us draw down income for retirement now.
It's a lot more fun taking it out than putting it in.
That's true. But we're very, very happy with where we are. We're very fortunate, I think.
To invest, call, click, or visit Fidelity.
If you have high blood pressure, you know all these cold medicines warn you not to take them. So take their advice. Don't take them. Take decongestant-free Coricidin HBP. Powerful relief that won't raise your blood pressure.
I'm ready as anybody can be. I'm ready as anybody can be. Yeah.
Are you ready to ask your doctor about Viagra? Get ready. Ask your doctor if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
Well, I'm ready for you. I hope you're ready for me.
Hey world, I'm back. Know that old saying about diarrhea? Just let it run its course. Where did that come from? Why did I listen to it for so long? Today, I did what was right for my body. I took control. I took Imodium.
Why suffer when Imodium AD can stop diarrhea safely and gently, often in just one dose, bringing your system back to normal? Imodium AD. Restore yourself.
For every job, there's a hard way. Or there's the Dremel way. The Dremel rotary tool with right angle attachment. Suddenly, nothing seems out of reach. For every problem, there's a Dremel solution.
Here's something to think about. The dispute over the presidential election of 1876 went on 4 months. It was settled 2 days before the inauguration. A 2-day transition from Grant to Hayes. 59 days and counting now till the next transfer of power. CBS's Eric Ingberg reports on a transition going nowhere fast.
What if they had a presidential transition office and nobody came? The prime office space near the White House sits empty while Florida counts. It means whoever wins the top job will be denied a fast start. Ideally, a president-elect puts his own team on the field the way George Bush did in 1988. His first cabinet pick,
James A. Baker III,
as Secretary of State, came just 1 day after the election. By contrast, the next president, faced with 3,000 executive branch jobs to fill, is focused on Chads and Dimples in Florida.
But if we let this thing go on too long, we're not going to have a president in place with a fully functioning administration until early 2002.
You have reached the White House and the Office of Presidential Personnel.
One of the first things a president-elect does is name his own Office of Personnel to oversee the appointment process. Since that can't be done until there's a winner, the whole system has been choked off. And the clock is ticking because appointments are now slowed by background investigations. There's the FBI, the IRS. The White House has its own form. Typical of Washington, after Zoe Baird's appointment ran afoul of her nanny payroll, that form started asking about nannies.
Every scandal, we add a new series of questions. Do you abuse alcohol? You know, has anybody ever filed a sexual harassment complaint against you? Do you have a nanny? Do you have a lawnmower service?
600 of the jobs require Senate confirmation. And if the next president has any doubts about how he could have used a nice, quiet transition to put his team on the field, he can ask Bill Clinton. 223 of his appointments are still tied up in the Senate. One of them has been there for 5.5 years. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Washington.
In Washington state, an automatic recount looks likely now in the last undecided U.S. Senate contest. Democrat Maria Cantwell has regained a small lead over Republican incumbent Slade Gordon. Should Cantwell win, Republicans and Democrats will be tied 50-50 in the U.S. Senate. Next on the CBS Evening News, another car bombing in Israel and threats of revenge from both sides.
If it isn't purple, it isn't Prilosec. Isn't it Prilosec time for you? Ask your doctor about the purple pill they call Prilosec.
Attention content enthusiasts, come to Contentville. We have content, nothing but content, whatever your passion.
I really like Russian literature. Sometimes I like to bake.
Whatever your interest.
Well, I like to read. Research? I like research.
We sell content you can download, content that comes to your door.
This is different.
Content in all its glorious forms.
Content? As in something inside of a content?
No, we sell speeches, screenplays, e-books.
E-books are great.
We ship magazines within 24 hours. We have expert advice from America's leading independent bookstores, experts with independent opinions. We sell legal documents, archives, millions of books, all at great prices.
Oh, really?
Join the multitudes. Come to Contentville, where content is king and readers rejoice.
I like my caboose. My derriere looks good.
New Jergens skin firming lotion with natural seaweed extract moisturizes and firms every last part of you. Jergens, we love your body.
Introducing Saran Quick Covers.
Cover your lasagna. Cover your pizza. Cover your cantaloupe. Cover your watermelon. Cover your salad.
Saran Quick Covers are the fastest, easiest way to cover just about anything in a snap.
Cover your leftovers.
They stretch easily, they snap snugly. Now you're covered. New Saran Quick Covers. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
Did you know your Aleve works on headaches too? When my wife got bad headaches, the pain relievers she tried, they'd work for a while, then quit. So she'd have to take more. I had some Aleve for my arthritis pain, so she tried it. Now she's got her life back, and I've got her back.
Just 2 Aleve can stop pain all day. It would take 8 Tylenol to do that.
Thanks, Aleve, for making such a difference.
And now cold sufferers can get the all-day strength of Aleve and new Aleve Cold and Sinus.
Florida's chaotic election count. It's all tied up in legal and political battles. Can the Sunday deadline be met? Tomorrow on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
Overseas today, further escalation in the 2 months of serious Mideast violence that has taken more than 250 lives. In the town of Hadera in northern Israel, a car packed with explosives blew up on a crowded street, killing at least 2 and wounding more than 50. CBS's David Hawkins is on the scene.
Most of the car bomb victims were commuters riding a crosstown bus. The dead and injured, some missing limbs, were scattered across Hadera's main street.
I'm frightened, to be honest. I'm kind of scared. We're talking about a bomb exploded in the center of Israel.
The bomb went off at rush hour, knocking a bus into nearby shops and setting them on fire. The explosion was so powerful, there's almost nothing left of the car. Just a charred steering wheel and a chunk of twisted metal. Police said it was not the work of a suicide bomber. No human remains were found in the car. No one's yet claimed responsibility, but Israel says Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat is to blame and promises to retaliate. Just a few hours before the car bomb attack, Israeli soldiers in the Gaza Strip machine-gunned 2 Palestinian cars, killing 4 people. Israel says one of the passengers was a wanted terrorist. Palestinians say he was a minor government official. The cycle of terror and revenge is accelerating and risks spinning completely out of control. And no one seems ready to step on the brakes. David Hawkins, CBS News, Hadera, Israel.
The CBS Market Watch shows stock prices closed sharply lower in slow pre-holiday trading. The Dow was down 95. The Nasdaq lost 116. On the CBS Health Watch, researchers say hard shell hip protectors worn by older people can help prevent broken hips caused by falls. This is important for more than avoiding pain and suffering. In the United States, 1 in 5 hip fracture patients die within a year, and only 1 in 4 makes a full recovery. We'll give you a look at what's ahead in the battle for the White House when the CBS Evening News continues, so stay here with us.
This holiday, you can give them a computer or a one-of-a-kind Gateway Essential PC with everything they're into built into it. Get a Gateway Essential PC with an Intel Celeron processor for just $799. Then turn it into a jukebox or video arcade. Call 1-800-GATEWAY and give your one-of-a-kind a one-of-a-kind. In Gateway Country, people rule.
I told my father I wanted to grow up to be a teacher. Wouldn't you rather be a doctor? He said. It's a noble profession and you could become wealthy. That may be true, I said. But without teachers, where would doctors come from?
If you have arthritis pain, there's reason to celebrate. It's Celebrex.
Celebrate, celebrate, come on and celebrate.
Powerful 24-hour relief from osteoarthritis pain and stiffness. Celebrex, the first arthritis medicine that targets only the COX-2 enzyme.
Celebrate, celebrate, come on and celebrate.
Celebrex should not be taken if you've had aspirin-sensitive asthma or allergic reactions due to aspirin or other arthritis medicines, or certain drugs called sulfonamides. In rare cases, serious stomach problems such as bleeding can occur without warning. Tell your doctor if you have kidney or liver problems.
Celebrate, celebrate, come on and celebrate.
Ask your doctor about Celebrex. Celebrex, the #1 selling brand of prescription arthritis medicine.
Celebrate, celebrate, come on and celebrate.
Junk the gunk. Introducing new advanced cleaning from Crest. The best Crest ever at repelling stains, tartar buildup, and that filmy feeling so your teeth feel cleaner all day long. Advanced cleaning, new from Crest. Unstick the ick. Introducing new advanced cleaning from Crest. The best Crest ever at repelling stains, tartar buildup, and that filmy feeling so your teeth feel cleaner all day long. Advanced cleaning, new from Crest.
Getting out of Nashville for the holidays is going to be easier thanks to tens of millions of dollars in improvements at the Metro Airport. We'll have that story coming up for you at 6.
Looking ahead in the battle for the White House, Bush lawyers now are asking the U.S. Supreme Court to stop dead in their tracks and eliminate the Florida vote recounts that were approved by Florida's highest court. No indication whether the Supreme Court will take the case, or if so, when. Another Florida court said Palm Beach County's hand count must consider including disputed ballots with incomplete hole punches. Democrats plan to appeal Miami-Dade's decision to stop all recounts after a hassle at the vote counting place. And Dick Cheney is recovering what's now called a heart attack. Slight. Cheney had a 2-hour hospital procedure today to widen a partially blocked artery. Whoever is finally elected president will inherit all the powers, duties, and traditions of the office, including this. On Thanksgiving Eve, President Clinton granted a pardon to a Wisconsin turkey named Jerry, sending the bird off to a petting zoo, passing the torch and the drumstick. Part of our world tonight. For the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather, wishing you a happy Thanksgiving. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.
This is CBS.
Coming up on News Channel 5 at 6, a Florida judge says vote counters must consider dimpled chads, but Governor Bush is not taking that ruling lightly.
Plus, Paul Reed has been sentenced to 7 life sentences. Tonight, several people have been rewarded for their efforts in putting him behind bars.
Apparently somebody run the red light here. You see the rest of it.
And the holiday travel season gets off to a bumpy start. The news is right here, right now.
From the News Channel 5 Network, this is News Channel 5 at 6. Your news and information leader.
Good evening, I'm Vicki Yates.
And I'm Chris Clark. The days before Thanksgiving is historically the busiest travel day of the year, and the holiday got started with a bang. There were scores of accidents like this one around the mid-state today, a good many of them involving holiday travelers. Police across the state will be out in greater numbers through Sunday to keep the